It's with a heavy heart, but also with great joy, to welcome pitching great Roy Halladay into the Hall of Fame.
Now, Toronto Blue Jays fans already knew Roy Halladay was a legend, but with that announcement, it's official. Doc heading to Cooperstown and Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame. He's one of 4 going in the class of 2019, elected on the first ballot posthumously, which is just, of course, adding to the sadness around this, but it is a dream for his family, Cigna, coming true, and for the Jays organization and for Jays fans. I mean, we're assuming he retired as a Jay, so one would think.
Yeah, you know what? 12 of those 16 seasons in a Blue Jays uniform, he will more than likely, I'm going to say 100% likely, going to be the second Blue Jay inducted after Roberto Alomar in 2011. And I think, you know, Jays fans have known this for a long time, before this Cooperstown designation, that Roy Halladay was going to be a Hall of Famer. A player that reshaped his game from the minor leagues in the Jays all the way up through those 12 seasons, 8-time All-Star, played with humility, and whether it's the stats or his demeanor, I mean, the stats are one thing, you know, the workhorse stats. He led the league in complete games for 7 of his 16 seasons, but his demeanor off of it, and I think all of the community work, and that's a lot of what we talked about after Roy Halladay's passing, was just the work that he did in the community of Toronto, and I'm sure in Philly as well.
Brandy, Braden, and Ryan Halladay.
What a moment that was. So emotional for fans and family. The opener for the Blue Jays in the 2018 season, when they retired 32, number 32, the number worn, of course, by the great Roy Halladay. 4 months earlier, he had died in a plane crash. What an honor for him, a moment to remember and to celebrate him among the Jays organization, and another cause for celebration yesterday as he went into the Baseball Hall of Fame, announced yesterday on his first year of eligibility. Great chance to talk about his career and legacy with the Blue Jays broadcaster Mike Wilner, back at his home baseball cave. Good to see you, Mike, as always, on this. Good morning.
Good morning, Heather.
Yeah, I hope this isn't a dumb question. It was his express wish to go into the Hall, if he ever should go into the Hall, as a Jay, but he could go in, I suppose, as a Philly too. But Jays retired his number. Does that mean he's going in as a Jay?
It doesn't. I mean, the Phillies retired his number 2, or at least they have his number hanging from a flagpole at their ballpark. I'm not sure if it's retired or not, but it is ultimately up to the Baseball Hall of Fame what team logo goes on the cap, on the plaque. They do consult with the players, and in Roy's case, they'll consult with his family. But it was, you're right, his express wish. He said it absolutely. He said that, you know, his sojourn to Philadelphia was just a chance to chase the ring. But he feels like the Blue Jays, or he felt like the Blue Jays made him what he is, that, you know, he is a Blue Jay, and he came back to sign that one-day contract at the end of it to retire as a Blue Jay. So I'm pretty sure the Hall will take all of that into account.
Well, after the 12 glorious seasons, which, as you said, you were so privileged to have seen him work as often as you did, going in first year with over 85% of the vote, that won't be a surprise to you then?
No, not at all. I mean, Roy Halladay was absolutely a Hall of Famer when he was pitching, and we knew it when we were watching him. I mean, he was arguably the most dominant pitcher in the major leagues in the first decade of this century. And, you know, he only had, like 203 wins, and 300 used to be the benchmark, but we're getting a more educated electorate in that Hall of Fame balloting. They look a lot closer at a lot of things that a lot of people didn't used to look at. So, for me, there was no question that he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm pleasantly surprised, I think, that he was named on over 85% of the ballots cast, which is wonderful. But for me, no, there was never a doubt.
You know, we talk a lot about the legacy and the influence that he had on young players, and certainly how he's remembered by the team. Lots of talk about the elegance and determination. It was a very nice tribute from the Jays itself, but some also beautiful tributes from his family. As we pull this up from son Braden, we saw some video of the family earlier, but Braden talking about a great honor for a great player and an even greater person. Proud of you, Dad. I love you. He's a ball player too, as I understand it, Michael. What will this mean to the family, do you think?
I mean, It's going to be horribly bittersweet for them. You know, it's a wonderful honor. It's something that every baseball player dreams of having happen at some point in their career. But, you know, he would have been 41 and he's not here, which is, it's just insane. And with two teenage children and a young widow, it's more than tinged with sadness, absolutely. But it is a wonderful thing.
Just looking again a little bit more at him. And as you watch him work, one of the things that's kind of interesting, and you, Mr. Baseball, would know this, he was a master of the cutter, as one of our team's big baseball fans was reminding me. He mastered the cutter, as did someone else voted into the Hall yesterday, Mike Wilner, Mariano Rivera. And I want to talk about him with you, too. But we have to take a look at this video today. We've been showing it this morning. Everybody's sharing it on social media. He had the cameras there in his home just in case, right, he got the call. And he did. Let's watch it, and Mike will talk about it in just a second.
Well, I'm calling to tell you that the baseball writers have elected you to the Hall of Fame.
That's great. That's
Amigo, I have another piece of news.
Yes.
You are the first person.
Don't you love that, Mike? They didn't even get to finish his sentence. They just were waiting to find out if he would be the first person to go in unanimously. What do you think of that decision?
It is amazing. You know what? It's funny because for a long time, closers were not welcome in the Hall of Fame. The writers thought they were too specialized. They were failed starters. If they had been really that good, they would have been starting pitchers. And Mariano Rivera was also a failed starting pitcher who, you talked about the cutter. It was his only pitch, but he was so good at it that he was able to break bats and just inspire such weak contact. You look at a lot of guys, and the only hits they got off of Mariano Rivera were little bleeders just over the infield because they just got the tiniest little piece of it. In fact, he blew the save in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, and the game-winning hit was a little broken bat, nothing, that just landed behind second base by Luis Gonzalez. But he was a master of the craft. He was the greatest closer ever in the game. And I think it's great. You know, could there have been a lot of other guys who were unanimous Hall of Fame selections? Absolutely. Why weren't they? I mean, there were a lot of, I think, older writers who used to say, well, Joe DiMaggio didn't get in unanimously, so nobody's getting in unanimously. I'm not going to vote for anybody on the first ballot. But the electorate, as I mentioned, is getting a lot. It's changing a lot. It's getting younger. It's getting more thoughtful. They do their work. And hopefully this means the end of it. You know, there are guys who you look at and you say, this is a Hall of Famer. Why would anyone not vote for this guy? Doesn't mean they were the greatest player of all time. It just means they absolutely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Guys like Ken Griffey Jr., Cal Ripken, so many more that you could just rattle off that are automatic Hall of Famers. They should all have been unanimous. And maybe now that stigma's gone and we'll see more.
I actually saw Rivera blow a save. Funny, in Minnesota. The Yankees were in Minnesota when I was visiting there. It was pretty cool. That was a pretty rare thing. Okay, unanimously going in, 4 going into the class of 2019. Mike, thank you. I just want to tell you, up on my computer, Mike Wilner, you can't see it, 19 days, 15 hours, 17 minutes, and 10.98 seconds until spring training begins.
We are 1 month away from the first game. 1 month today.
Well, then we will have more conversations, and I look forward to them. Thank you for remembering Roy Halladay with me, Mike Wilner, and have a good day. Thanks a lot for the time.
Thank you, Heather.